It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Stanford assistant track and field throwing coach, Coach Jennifer Svoboda. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into college coaching?
I think once I retired from my athletic career, being around that athletic base, it was really hard to not be involved in some kind of sports. And then for me, I think my biggest aspiration is motivating the youth and young people. So I think after I was done with college, I missed that component of being in a sport where people hold each other accountable.
Of course, what was it like going to the Kentucky Wildcats to compete?
Oh, I loved the BBN Nation. It was pretty awesome. We won a couple of national titles in basketball while I was there. We had one of the best throw squads in the nation. Lexington is a great college town, so it was really fun to be a part of that. I got my Kentucky Derby on a couple times, so I loved Kentucky. It was a really great experience for me.
How is it like obviously competing in the SEC and getting to put on that blue Wildcats jersey?
SEC is one of the best conferences in the nation. There's definitely no denying it. I got to compete against the best schools in the entire country. So that was really, really awesome. And then to represent a team like Kentucky, especially since we had a good throws program at the time, it meant a lot to me just to earn that full ride scholarship and to be part of a vision and a culture that was trying to cultivate good athletes.
Of course, how is that like obviously competing as a thrower at Kentucky?
As a thrower, it was obviously fun. My coach, Doug Reynolds, kept it interesting at all times. And I had a good group of athletes. I call my own athletes kids now. But like I said, we had a great group. And the really awesome thing is that most of us now are in the college coaching business. So that's been really cool to see us transition from athletes to now coaches trying to do the same thing.
Of course, what was that like, obviously, as an athlete competing in disc throwing and shot putting?
I guess I had done it my whole life. I think I started when I was in 5th grade, so about 11 or 12. And then from a really young age, I was pretty successful in the throws. I was part of Team USA for World Juniors. So it really wasn't shocking to me or, it didn't throw me for a loop or anything like that. Just kind of normal day-to-day operations, I guess.
How is that like, obviously, competing for Team USA?
Oh, Team USA was pretty cool. I still have all my gear from that moment. And to know that you're one of the best in the nation and you get to represent the red, white, and blue, something you'll never forget. And hopefully one day I can do it again, but as a coach instead of an athlete.
Of course, what was it like, obviously, coming out of college and getting into college coaching?
An easier transition than maybe some people have. I stayed in Kentucky and I got my graduate degree in exercise science and sports leadership. And then while I was doing that, I worked with the student athletes at Kentucky. And then I was also a throws coach at Transylvania. And then I opened up my own throwing club while I was there. And I had one of the most successful track and field athletes in the state of Kentucky. So I kind of put my foot a little bit into the bucket. And then Doug made a nice phone call for me and kind of opened up the first avenue of coaching. And that obviously I'm very appreciative of that because I wouldn't be where I am now without it.
Of course, what was it like, obviously, going back to your alma mater and getting your first start in coaching?
I'm glad I stayed at Kentucky. I think I needed to stay there. I had already developed a community and people that I could count on for support. So that was really nice. And I think because I had stayed throughout college, I had some connections that helped me step into that coaching world a little bit faster than some people may be able to.
How is it like, obviously, going to Chancellor to become the throwing assistant coach?
Transylvania, that was kind of a fun little thing for me. It was D3, so a lot different than Division One, different caliber athlete, and also it kind of prepared me for the academic side that I now deal with at Stanford. Those students at Transylvania were athletes, but they were also really excellent students. So it kind of made me realize that there needs to be this balance between the two when academics are really, I guess they demand a lot of attention at certain schools.
How's it like obviously getting the opportunity to go to Southern Mississippi?
Southern Mississippi was an opportunity, definitely a different part of the country that I had never been to, but I believe that travel is one of our greatest educators. So that was pretty awesome. My group at Southern Mississippi was absolutely amazing. They're still somebody I would consider family, and definitely feel like I was blessed with them. And we did something really big there by winning a conference championship, kind of pretty much just rebooking all of the school records and the throwing events. So I'll never forget that time for sure.
Of course, how was that 2018 season like? Obviously, winning the conference championship, and as you said, rewriting history and breaking records.
It was amazing. I mean, there's nothing like winning a conference title as an individual or as a coach is amazing, but when you're winning as a team, it's so much different. And I guess the big thing was when we all got there as a staff at Southern Miss, we were the last in conference on both the men's and women's side. So to be able to take it from being last place all the way up to us finishing number 1 and 2 respectively, it just showed that hard work pays off. And like I said, I think we developed something really magical there at Southern Miss.
Of course, what was it like getting to come to Stanford to become the throwing coach there?
Overwhelming at first. Stanford is a big university with pretty high demands and high expectations, but there's no other place like it. I absolutely love it here. It challenges you to leave your comfort zone and to grow in ways that you probably didn't even imagine before. And I feel like I'm constantly challenged by the very best people in the very best fields here to become the best coach, to become the best mentor, and to become the best human being that I can possibly be.
Of course, how has your college experience helped you into where you are now at Stanford at a powerhouse school?
I want to say academically, I was always really strong at Kentucky, and academics have been a big part of my life. I'm a very intellectual person and I like that stimulation. So coming to Stanford, I think it kind of prepared me for that because I had already had a background in academics and it was something that was so important to me prior. And then I also have a background in teaching. So the educational piece like really kind of fell into place. And then being at a SEC school, like I knew what big Power 5 conferences were like. So it wasn't something that shocked me, but you can never quite be prepared for Stanford because it is so unique and such an amazing place. But the thing is, you grow and you grow fast here.
Of course, what does a typical track meet look like for throwers at Stanford?
Usually we'll arrive at the track about 2 hours in advance. They'll kind of chill and get into their zone. We usually start warm up about an hour before the competition and then, get to the throws events, hopefully set some PRs and have a good time as a team.
Of course, as a coach, what are some of the things that you look at in those future throwers looking to come to Stanford?
One, that you have the drive and I guess the bravery to push outside of your comfort zone. Like I said, this isn't a normal school. Its demands are quite a bit different, but its rewards are a lot different too. So I would say I look for those two things. And then obviously being one of the best athletes in the nation is going to be a big help. But then showing me that you have what it takes to stay resilient and not give up when you might be a little uncomfortable. Those are kind of the main components that I look for when I'm recruiting.
Of course, what is it like obviously coaching those javelers and those shot putters?
Well, javelin has always been one of my strongest events. I can't lie about that. I've had multiple conference champions now, and obviously Virginia Miller really crushed it here at Stanford and had a great season going on to USAs and nationals, and that was amazing. And all the other events, I won't lie, it's a male-dominated industry. So as a female, it can be challenging at times, but I love working with the energy of the throwers. We're kind of a unique bunch of people. We like to have fun and kick back, but also I think I have some of the hardest workers on the team. So really appreciative of that.
Was it like obviously getting to compete against some of the teams in your conference, like UCLA?
It's an honor. I have friends in the business now. Actually, UCLA, the throws coach's wife is one of my best friends from college. So when we go to meets, it's kind of just like a little fun gathering to kind of have that community again. And then it's also just an honor. I didn't think I would ever be where I'm at right now, and to be able to coach and compete against the best athletes in the world and country it's an honor for me.
Of course, how's it like obviously coaching against teams like UCLA, Oregon that are in your conference versus obviously coaching against some of your teams that are not in your conference like Carolina and Duke?
Honestly, it doesn't much matter to me. I think something that I've realized as a coach is you show up worrying about you and you let other people show up worrying about them. So I'm not too concerned whether it's a UCLA or, a smaller school. Like, we're trying to come to the track and bring our A game to the circle. So as long as we're doing that, the rest is really kind of irrelevant.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped build for Stanford throwing and even track and field in general?
I think I've built a culture of safe space. I really preach to my athletes that their opinions, their thoughts are valid, their feelings are valid, and they all are allowed to take up space, and they should be able to do that without feeling uncomfortable. So I think that has really helped us grow as a team. And then obviously just having a culture of accountability and openness where we can communicate about things, and when we have challenges, coming together to collaborate. That's been the biggest thing that I've really had a hit on at Stanford. Is I'm working with the best and brightest student athletes in the entire world. So I'm not trying to demand or, reign over them like a tyrant. I want to collaborate with them because they're special and I'm special, and together we can create something even more special.
Of course, during a typical track meet, what is it like obviously going back and forth from, let's say, the javelin to shot putting and vice versa?
It can be quite a run. I'm not going to lie. On meet days, I usually put in about 30K steps. So a lot of back and forth, but it's a flow. I mean, I love all the events. They're all fun to coach. Obviously have athletes in all of them who I want to do well. So it's just kind of part of the job to be running around doing my thing, but it keeps me busy and it keeps me young for sure.
Of course, what does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to go in track and field?
I would say like beginning of your junior year, there's usually some kind of contact made if I'm interested. And then after that, we continue conversations, and I see if you're a good fit for Stanford and the team that I'm trying to build and the culture we have here, and then make a decision about who I want to bring on board.
What does the official visit look like for those prospective student athletes coming to Stanford for throwing?
Usually 24 to 48 hours. They get to hang out with the kids, maybe go to a football game, do a tailgate, travel Stanford's campus, which we all know is absolutely beautiful, kind of hang out in the downtown area with the student athletes, myself, just kind of get a feel for what we're about as a team.
Of course, what is it like obviously seeing those recruits fall in love with Stanford and then obviously commit and get to put on that Stanford red jersey?
There's nothing better on the planet. Stanford is the hardest school to get to in the entire nation, less than 3% of an acceptance rate. So when that happens for student athletes who have literally been grinding their buns off in high school, it's a very rewarding moment. It's usually one filled with tears and a lot of happiness. Because like I said, once you get in here, this place changes your life, and you're going to have a different path than a lot of other people. And that includes me as a coach. I know I didn't get to go to school here, but like I said, it's been such a pleasure being here and growing in that way. And it's awesome to be able to, I guess, help people reach their dreams. And Stanford is a dream for a lot of people.
What are some of your future plans for the throwing program at Stanford?
I obviously would like to come in and crush this year. I have a group of 7 that is very, very good. And I think we're very talented to be able to do some big things in the future. Obviously, I would like to do the same thing we did at Southern Miss, win some more individual conference titles, make it on the national podium, and then hopefully bring home a team championship. There's nothing better than the cherry on top of the cake with that.
What advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to become track and field athletes in college, and particularly be throwers in college?
I think balance. Make sure that you're balancing all of your components, whether it be speed, strength and conditioning, your social life, your throwing. Be a balanced human being. And then clap for yourself. Life is hard. It's not easy. And if you want to be on this journey of becoming a really good Division I athlete, you need to learn to be your own best cheerleader, because other people in life might not always do that for you. So if you want to step up and level up, that's the best thing that you can do for yourself.
Of course, as a college coach, was it like obviously seeing those athletes go on to become Team USA athletes?
I have only had Team USA athletes for under 20. I haven't quite made it to the Olympic realm yet, which is a plan to do here in the future. But it's not, like I said, it's amazing. I had the opportunity myself, and to see them get to travel to an international spot and get to represent their country and be with all these amazing athletes. There's really not a bigger reward as a coach, because those kids will never forget about that.
What advice would you give those athletes that are looking to go and represent Team USA on the track and field side?
I would say to them, know who you are and know that you're special, and cultivate your talents, and don't compare yourself to anybody else, because I really believe that comparison is the root of all failure. So just knowing what you bring to the table, and then surround yourself with people that are going to clap for you.
What advice would you give people that are looking to get into college coaching?
Advice: it's a wonderful, wonderful field. It is very time consuming. So people that are trying to get into this industry, I would tell them balance is key. Leaving your laptop at home sometimes, so you're not working until midnight, being balanced with your recruiting calls, and then knowing that it's okay to have a life outside of track and to fill your own cup, so that you can more adequately fill the cups of your student athletes and your coworkers.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to be throwers for a college team, such as yourself?
Once again, just stay balanced. Don't feel shy about reaching out to coaches. Like, if you want something, go get it. Don't be nervous that the coach is going to say no, because you really don't know until you send the email or send the text.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
I have 2 different social medias now. I have Heartland_is_home is my personal coaching Instagram. And then I have Boda_enterprises, which is my new business account that I've been launching. So either one of those is fine.
Where can my listeners find Stanford Track and Field at on social media?
We have our own page. I think it's Stanford Cross Country XCTF. So you can find us there. And then there's also a Stanford Throws page. And then all of our articles online can be found on our Stanford Track and Field website.
Thank you again, Coach Jennifer, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as you begin this journey with Stanford as assistant track and field coach for throwing.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jennifer, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.